What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Base Damage. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I wanted to put my 2 cents in on a particular deck build. Specifically because I'm constantly trying to cook and mess around with Hololive a whole bunch. Now, I'm certain there's a lot of people who've already made their decisions and everything for what decks they want to run, or maybe even what tweaks they already want to make after the most recent ban list posted just a couple weeks ago. It goes into effect on August 9th, so I'm going to try to get this posted before that day, before the new ban list goes into effect. Because right now, there is a new addition to the ban list, and that is this particular Mio level 0, which we're going to go over and talk about the effects and everything in a second here. You cannot run in a deck with this particular Luna. So this particular deck is a very, very fun deck. It's an 8 standby. I've just had so much fun cooking with this. Trying to basically summon as many copies of this Luna as possible with a very nice little engine with like the Oski level 0, the Polka combo, and you just basically try to facilitate as many of your level 0s as possible off the comics combos and searching and all the effects to try to make some really annoying standby boards just to fuck with your opponent, really and truly. Also, I took this out already. I don't know why this is still in here. But I wanted to show kind of a current build, and like I said, this is going to come out. But I wanted to kind of throw my 2 cents in here for some potential changes to the deck that could be made. Because now, obviously, I can't run this Mio in here. Like, you can't, I have to pick one or the other. So this is having to come out. So we are going to talk about it real quick, though, in terms of what the effect is and why it's good. So this particular Mio has 2 effects. When this is placed on stage from your hand, look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 2 of those cards, and put them on top of your deck in any order. Put the rest of them into your waiting room. What this essentially does is lets you go, oh look, I revealed these 2 cards off of my top of my deck. I get to either put like both of them back on top or put any number of them into the waiting room to try to dig maybe closer to a standby trigger or whatever. It really just kind of depends. Or if you see some really good triggers that you want, you can, or you see, oh look, one's a standby, one's a character, one's a really good standby target. Let me go ahead and mill that standby target and put the climax back on top of the deck. So you basically being able to manipulate what cards are on top of the deck and the order in which they could be in is just a very powerful effect. The second effect is when this is placed on stage from hand or put into your waiting room from the stage, you can pay the cost, which is pay 1, discard any 1 card. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 Hololive character, reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand. So this is very, very powerful for a multitude of reasons. One of the biggest things, and I wanted to kind of show some gameplay, but I'm just not going to worry about it, just have to deal with my explanation of this, is say you attack and you trigger a standby. If this is sitting on like your back row, like people will purposely summon this in, or place it in the back row and summon a standby target over top of it, right? So then you go, oh cool, this standby target I'm going to place over top of the Mio. And then the Mio goes to the waiting room. So cool, it fulfills that condition. You can now pay that effect of the pay 1, pitch 1 to search your deck for a Hololive character. And even more so, it immediately pays out the standby. So it's, oh, I triggered this, I summon over top of the Mio, the standby goes to your stock. The Mio's effect goes off, you get to pay out that standby immediately and, get yourself your other toolbox pieces, anything in your entire deck. Outside of, you can't search the events, that's whatever. You don't have to run these events, I'm just doing it because it's really fucking funny. So that's another very powerful piece of utility. The top checking, the searching, being able to pay out the standby so they're not clogging up your stock. It's just an overall really powerful, really good card. And it has like one of the highest price tags, I think, in the entire Volume 2 for a good reason. But you can still run that in other decks, but you just can't run it with the Luna deck now. So I wanted to try to find a good replacement, or maybe some kind of combination of replacements. So I went up here to the simulator, and you can search via text. So I put while I don't know what to do for the first effect, I figured if I could find another card that would let me fulfill the same condition of on play or on death, pay one, pitch one, or pay out my stock, I figured it'd be really good to find something similar. So I typed that little portion of the text into the search bar, searched, and there's quite a few cards up here that do come up, but there was one in particular that caught my eye, and it was this Bay. This Haycost Bales, this is from the first premium booster set. When this is placed on stage from hand or put into the waiting room from the stage, you can pay one. You have to specifically pitch a Hololive character. That's one of the big changes. If you do, look at up to 3 cards from the top of your deck. Choose one card amongst them, put it into your hand, put the rest into your waiting room. So it's a very different effect, but it kind of fulfills the same thing I'm looking to fuck around with. It does, obviously we don't have the first effect up here that's just absolutely busted. But being able to have a similar cost condition, a timing and cost condition, is very similar. It is similar enough, I think it will work, because unless you're pitching climaxes or the event, you're more than likely pitching like standby targets for the cost. So that can work out for this and still be able to like place one of these in the backstage. You trigger a standby, summon over top of it, you would still be able to pay out the standby just like you would with the Mio. So I am gonna be testing out this Bay. This is just kind of me, like, I'm in the kitchen cooking. I just kind of want to share my thoughts on this. Because also it says look at up to 3. You get to choose any one of those 3 cards and add it to hand. You don't get to just straight out pick what you need. But with standby, you don't really give a fuck as much. Like with standby, you're trying to put all of your targets into the waiting room and trying to just get those out that way. That being said, being able to go, oh look, I see this standby. I want to grab this standby for next turn. Maybe because you can still play it during the main phase. You could summon it, go pay the cost. Look at the top 3. Oh, here's a standby, and here's then of the 3 cards, you add a standby to hand and then mill the other 2. The other 2 could be some potentially very good standby targets, or even some level 0s or something that you could add back with the polkas, well, with her climax combo and everything. So I feel it fulfills enough of the condition that it could work out. It's nowhere near as good as just being able to outright search. Just 100%, I can't like argue that. It is nowhere near as good as just the outright search, and you do have to specifically pitch a Hololive. I don't feel the specifically pitching Hololive is much of a drop, as much as like a it's not as much of a deal breaker in my mind. It's just you only have the one effect as opposed to 2 very powerful effects on the same card. So I am going to be taking out the Mio, and we're going to be trying to rock at least 2, possibly 4 copies of this particular Bay. There's some other kind of neat options, but I couldn't really say that I liked any of them. I don't know. I just really couldn't get into it. The only other thing which we are going to be looking into with the Mio is looking at the top 2 cards of the deck. Which, let me... So, there's only a handful of cards that do this as well. But there's nothing that really lets you kind of fuck around with the Mio. The Mio, there's no level 0s, let me put it that way, that lets you top check and mill any number of those. Most of them are, say, like this Korone. Look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, put them back on top of the deck in any order. There's a lot that do that. Honestly, the Ina right here, which is used in like most decks, this is the one you're going to see the most in terms of Hololive gameplay. So a lot of the other ones are going to be like on attack, you get to do the effect, not on play. When this attacks, when you use an act, stuff like that. But on attack, I was trying to think if there's anything else really to kind of fuck with. I'm kind of looking between the Korone and the Ina, because I feel I could probably, because the Bay is also going to do some milling, I probably could take out like 2 Matsuris and drop in like 2 Korones or something, or even 2 Inas. It's not like you particularly need the climax swap effect per se, because you're just running standby. You almost always have 1 or 2 of these cards ready to go, like for the climax combos. So it's less about which specific climax you need and more about just having a standby in hand and then just going to town and you don't care after that. So the Ina could be done. The Korone kind of fulfills it. It's a little mini runner and everything. It basically does kind of the same thing that you want, kind of. The sucky thing is we're having to take 1 card and split it into 2. I'm more sold on running the Bay than I am running the Korone. I probably could just drop this all together and just not give a fuck. But it is something that I kind of wanted to talk about. Say like, hey, because this also mills like just straight up 3. You don't get anything from it. You just mill 3 and potentially get more standby targets in the waiting room, which is cool. The battle, what's this effect? Stock reverser aspect doesn't really come up, but so much in terms of like something that like affects the opponent in a major way. So I feel you could kind of run either of the, or you could even just run like 4 Korone, in my mind. You get the mill stuff off the Bay, you get the top checking off the Korone maybe. Also, I realized I forgot to mention, because it lets you add any 1 card, you could add standby trigger, you could add the climaxes, or you could even add the event that lets you do some fun shenanigans with Aki. But this is also just a very fun, powerful event. Some people run it, some people don't. I'm kind of testing it right now. There is another card coming out, though, that I wanted to... Here we go. This particular Hato that we're getting in the summer premium booster could potentially replace this Pecora level 2. This Pecora ends up giving a 1500 boost to characters in front, where the Hato would only give 1000, but it does have an act ability that says look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, return them to return them in any order, all for the cost of just resting herself. The first effect of being able to summon a particular Hachima you don't really need to run, but 2 of the effects on this Pecora aren't used either. It's just used for the assist. So I could keep, like, mostly Matsuri and potentially replace the Pecoras with 2 of these Hachimas. When that particular set comes out, that's kind of another thing I'm kind of looking at, because that does let you do the top checking ability and get to fuck around with, like, what your triggers are going to be. Because you're going to, like, stand by this in, or you could hard cast it, because it's actually red instead of the Pecora. You wouldn't hard cast the Pecora, you would just stand by it in. You could hard cast or stand by in the Hato, and potentially just use that every turn to top check, and not have to worry about, like, an on-play effect. So, that's kind of what I'm looking at, to like tweak some stuff around. I just wanted to quickly make something, and just kind of, like, get my ideas out there. Like I said, this Iris isn't even supposed to be in here anymore. I forget what I changed it out for. It's whatever. This isn't supposed to be here, so whatever. I might have put 2 of this in here. I don't. I really don't recall. It might have been 2 Fubuki. I don't care. But the main thing is, we'll just put 2 of that for now. The main thing being replacing the Mio. It is honestly, like, it's not a I'm gonna stop running the deck deal breaker type thing. It's just we gotta make some tweaks. We gotta figure out what could be done and do some test playing. Because of work, I haven't been able to test play it enough right now. But I plan to do some test playing very soon, probably against Joe, and make him hate life even more. So, we shall see. Like I said, I just want to get my thoughts out there. I'm not saying this is going to be the way to run the deck. I'm just looking at potential changes, you know. There's probably some people who are like, just drop the deck, idiot. Fuck it. It's a fun budget deck. I want to have fun. So, that is going to be it. Thank y'all very much for watching. Just, like I said, just me ranting. I got some more fun Hololive deck shenanigans and kind of deck theory crafting coming up in the coming weeks. And that is going to be it for us today. We'll see y'all on the flip side. Peace out for now.